inside the circle. We invite you to join us in finding your tribe, finding your purpose, finding your circle. Hello, I'm Ryan Green, one of your hosts for the Circle of Women of Inc. podcast.
I'm Sharon Mackey, the founder and CEO of the Circle of Women Inc. And I'm so excited about today's show. We've got an amazing guest that's going to share some valuable information. Ryan, thank you for having me here with you. I am elated. I can't wait to hear what today's topic is all about.
Yeah, I'm so excited to kick off the topic of, the self and kick off our podcast with this topic of self-love, something that's vital. We're living, loving, and caring for ourselves. So in order to get a better understanding of the topic, we've got our first special guest. She has a background in the service industry, working to develop her own sense of separation between helping others versus helping yourself. She's the creator of the Self Full podcast, where she discusses her spiritual journey down the path of self-discovery. Today, we welcome Jasmine Strader into the circle. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, Jasmine.
Hey, ladies.
Good to see you.
Hey, ladies.
Welcome,
Good to
welcome.
see you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk about the subject at hand. Me and self-love go together real bad. So I'm excited to jump in.
You look like you love yourself a little bit. I'm checking you out. Maybe you can show us some things today, huh?
Look, I get it from you. I see you over here. You got the lipstick on, the blue is blue. We like what we see.
Uh-huh. Well, sometimes we got to try to work with what we have, right? To make
Look,
a
that's
good
all you can do,
impression.
and that's the best thing. That's the best part of it. Because what you got is more than enough, okay?
Amen. I receive it. I receive it. Bring it on. And you have such a beautiful smile. That's part of it. Being able to smile on the outward, that's part of it. Because when you smile and you're happy, it kind of gravitates you toward those things that are beautiful and happy and warm, right? If you're walking around mad all the time like this, nobody's going to want to deal with that. And you're not going to want to deal with it. You're not going to look in the mirror. You're not going to want to see the reflection of that. So, yeah, keep smiling. I like that.
Thank you. You ladies as well. Both of you guys have beautiful smiles. We're not going to hear any of the men on the road that's like, smile, smile more. We're not going to hear that today. So nothing but the smile.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear what we're going to be talking about.
Of course. So today, Jasmine, we're going to ask you a few questions just to kind of like pick your brain a little bit. So my first question for you is, how have you battled with the idea of loving and caring for yourself, even when it felt impossible?
That's a really good question. One of the things that's been showing up for me right now is I've been embodying the energy of the phoenix. I've been allowing the fire in my life to forge me so that I can come forth in a new way. It's interesting that you say this because I literally was listening to the song yesterday while I was working on a speech, and the song is called "I Love Myself" by Angelo. And he said, I love myself even when it's hard to. I love myself deeper than the scars do. And I think that's one of the things that I find to be most beautiful about myself. And one of the things that I'm really starting to honor is that, hey, baby girl, you've been tried by the fire. You've gone through some things. And it's those things that you've gone through that when you walk into a room, the wisdom that you have, it came from that. It wasn't just you just woke up with it. When you start to endure certain things, there is this forging that occurs, and you have an opportunity. Some people will allow it to like take them and break them down, and we all go through a season of that. But it's really important to take time and like figure out, do you want to stay in that season or do you want to keep going? And when you reach to a point of like, hey, enough's enough. I'm here. I got me. This is what I got, and this is more than enough. You then start to develop an appreciation. I'm really my teaching myself right now is really just to go grow and glow through the hard stuff. The tiny seed knew that in order to grow, it had to be dropped in dirt, covered with darkness and struggle to reach the light. And like the phoenix, I'm setting my nest on fire. All the things that I know that maybe don't serve me anymore, maybe they all gotta go. They all getting burnt. Uh, but I'm really allowing those flames to ignite me and push me into this new season of my life. Well, that's what it looks like for me right about now.
I love that. I really think that being able to kind of like take down what you've known before, take down the comforts, take down what you're so used to be able to kind of grow and find more. That's the only way you can kind of like uh, improve, really, is like to figure out what's new, what's different, start over. And you're growing from that.
I like what you said about, you're forging something new here. Sometimes we go through challenges and we carry it, we wear it, we have it all over our bodies, our faces. And when we walk into the room, as you mentioned, everything needs to change when you walk into the room. But when you walk in the room, the change that you want to see or to experience, and you want others to experience, is the beauty of who you
Mm.
are. When you walk into the room, you want to shift atmospheres because you're in the room. And you can't do that if you carry all the hurt and the pain of everything you've experienced all over your face and all over your body as you begin to move about the room. I don't know about you, but have you ever seen someone who you thought, wow, she's really pretty on the outside, but she's going through something?
Oh, Chad. Let me tell you, I've been that person, and I have seen plenty of women like that. And the thing is, you can't, especially if you've gone through it, you can't hide from it.
Right.
Somebody will look at you and they will know because the God in me sees the God in you. And in those spaces, one of the things that I'm working on for myself is like, hey, this vessel, like I'm cool or whatever, but it's really the God factor. What sanctifies me, what sets me apart is how God shows up in my life. I'm showing up as Jasmine, a gift from God. I'm not showing up as, little Johnny down the street or so and so. I think it's important. Look, okay. With social media nowadays, we all want to be like the next person. And I think that serves to distract us from how beautifully and wonderfully we are made. So I'm with you on that. I think that was really beautifully put.
Yeah, I think that, with the God in you, your self-care, because sometimes people say, oh, God is going to work it all out. Well, God will work it all out, right? But we have to put in some work too. We have to do
Mm-hmm.
something to make something happen. We often talk about how faith without works is dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So faith is an action word. So if we are women of faith, right, which we are, um, you have to do something to activate whatever it is in you so that God can have something to work with. We got to give him something to work with.
Look, okay, okay.
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
it's like I think it's important to listen to the promptings of your soul. So often, especially when we maybe are going through some things and we are not facing them. We're not embracing things and allowing it to take us from where we are to where we want to be. It often will pull us away from God. Sometimes you ever
Mhm.
have those times where you like, oh, not my ear ringing. Okay, all right, we are here. All right, we're tapped in now. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. But yeah, sometimes when you go through things, it's like you ever have that shame that creeps in. That it's like the way to get through this is to pray through it, but you're like, God don't want to hear from me. Like I was out here doing A, B, and C. And it's look, I've had those moments where I'm like, "Ooh, child, all right now, okay." And I found that the times in which you don't want to do something, or the times that you feel like, "Oh, maybe I should kind of like distant from it," it's because there's something beautiful for you in that space. So now it's like for me, there's like this, hey, if I feel convicted or something's like, you know what, just do this. generally that's God telling me like, hey, you need to show up and show up fully in this space. Like you can't show up and maybe hide yourself. Maybe if you aren't having the best day, that's cool. We all go through that because sometimes some people are gonna look at you and be like, they would have known everything you just went through, and the fact that you showed up that day and you're like, look, I'm gonna put this smile on my face because when you smile, it's like your body, it's something that comes from within. You can't truly fake a smile. Like you imagine when those everybody look at me like, now you now you know I know. Right? You can't fake that, but to truly smile, it draws from the spirit. I used to work in call centers, right? God bless my soul. And when I tell you them call centers, baby, they used to wear me out. They can hear the customers. And so I worked oh, I'm not even gonna say the name of the company, but I was like the little people whose phones was turned off and they had these outrageous bills and they're calling me, hey, let me turn back on my phone. When I tell you the way I used to get cussed out regularly, oh yeah. So what I did at some point, because I started to really get down, I said, wait a minute, I'm innocent. It's not my fault you didn't pay your bill. I had to like start to put the mirror. And I had to use that mirror to reflect me back to me in a language that I would understand. And oftentimes I would look at myself, even if I was going through the ringer, I would look and I'd be like, Jasmine, look at where you're at. Like it forced me to be present. Things may not be where I wanted it to be, but I was working. I was having an opportunity to speak to people, to learn things about life. A lot of that stuff I learned then, I still use that now. Very specifically, I was on a call yesterday, right? I was giving a presentation, and before I got in, I was like a couple minutes late. Don't tell nobody, but I definitely used one of my old lines, and I said, I'm so sorry about that. My computer was giving me prompts. It just decided it was going to embarrass me in front of the company. And the person they laughed, and I said, okay, cool, we can move past this. But it reminds me of the same concept of like some of the things that you learn, they'll show back up. And that act of like looking at myself in the mirror, I found that when I would do that and I would smile, I would genuinely smile. Not one of those fake smiles, not one of those, let me just kind of go past it, but to let me be present, look around, take a deep breath. I'm here. And I would smile. I would generally find that there was a grounding that took place. And I was more inclined to look around for the things to be grateful for. I was grateful that I had a job to go to, had a little bit of money in my pocket. I was grateful that, for maybe one or two people on my team, I was grateful for even just being in my body. So it's like some of those things that we take for granted. I think it's important to really allow to really show up in life fully. Don't fake it. Just show up. And I think that if you really want to talk about loving yourself, even when it's hard, it's in that. It's in those moments of like being present with yourself and being vulnerable with those around you, transparent. Now you don't need to tell them all your business, but you can you can show up. And I think the world will be a better place the more that we do that.
You talked about being grateful as part of your self-care and self-love. I think it's important to live in a place of gratefulness because sometimes we become so down on ourselves. There's so much going on around us that we forget the little things that we should be grateful for. Do you agree with that, or how do you feel about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to come back to that at some point, but there's this quote by Julia Cameron. I can't remember it exactly, but one of the things that she talks about is like so often we're there. She describes the concept of our inner critic, right? We could be in, embarking on like a new journey, and we're over here, oh, this isn't that good, or did it like we're tearing ourselves down. But the purpose of the inner critic is to come in and stop you or to slow you down from really achieving your purpose. And she talks about, perfectionism being
Mm.
one of those inner critics. And I don't know if y'all know anything about that. Look, I know it. I know it. I said, hey, uh, but that perfectionism it comes in and it's really there to kill, steal, and destroy it, right? Because perfection, that's not on us. That's not for us. Progress is for us, love is for us, but perfection is not for us, you know? And I think it's a standard that's impossible for us to attain because if we were perfect, we wouldn't even need God. And we already see how people move and groove. When you act like you don't need God, all is not well for you. It may feel like it is in the moment, but all is not well for you. But yeah, she talks about that concept, and it's been something I've taken a lot of time to think about. So now I find myself when I'm kind of feeling down or I'm critiquing myself, that that inner critic tries to come in. One of the things I do is I lean towards gratitude. In fact, all of last month, even into this new month, I have a gratitude log. I keep track each day of the things that I'm grateful for because also I come the end of the month, I have to take an account. What did my month look like? What were my top 10 achievements? Who inspired me? What did I learn? And I also got to face myself and be like, hey, what didn't go well? What were like maybe my distractions, my mental blocks, my fears? I want to make sure that I'm aware of what's really going on because it's hard to change when you don't even know where you're at, honestly. So for me, I keep that gratitude log going, and I've found it's never just one thing on it. I'll start off with one major thing, and next thing I know, and then by the time I look up, I'm like, girl, you got all these great things going on in your life. Man, all is well for you. All is well. It may not feel like it, may not look like it at times, but nonetheless, even in the midst of everything that's going on right now, all is well. You are loved. There is love. And when I know that there is love, it's really hard to operate from a place of fear or pain or anxiety when I know there's so much beauty for me, around me, and within me.
You know what I really like to do? And I do it, I'm looking at, I don't have a watch on, but if I did, I'd be looking at the date and the time. At the end of every month, I like to go to the day spa and just, I don't care if nobody else goes with me. I just want to go to the spa, get in the steam room, let the steam just engulf my entire body. And then I get in the jacuzzi and I just forget about everything going on out here. And then I sit in the jacuzzi for about 20 minutes. And then I get out, have me a cup of tea, and I walk out to the waiting area. And then the massage therapist comes and taps me on my shoulder and says, Sharon, you're next. And then I go in for like a full hour of just me and that table and those hands, just working the knots and the kinks out of my back. And I think that is one of the most peaceful places. That's where I find so much peace. And it's just all about me. I am so selfish in that moment. I turn off my cell phone and I just go in that room and after they finish, I come into the quiet room. It's dark. And I just lay some cucumbers on my eyes and just lay back in the chair and I just chill. That's my self-love. That's one way that I love Sharon. And then when I come out of there, it just feels like I'm walking on air. Like you spend the whole day there, maybe 5 hours, and all you're doing is just going from one room to the other, just relax. You might want to read a book, just have some tea, whatever you want to do, and mm, just relax. And once I leave, it's like I'm brand new. Well, it don't take but about 24 hours for all that pressure to come back. But I believe just allowing your body those moments just to breathe and relax without any pressure, any stress. And as they're working the knots in the kinks out and you're drinking a lot of water, you're eliminating the water, it's getting rid of toxins and poisons in your body that create stress balls in your body, in your human body. And your body just needs to relax sometimes. And we can't always be go, 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 go. And I don't know what y'all do, but I want to hear from y'all. What do you do to relax? Because that's my thing. Ryan, what do you
Mhm.
do?
For me, when I just need to I've had a very hard day or I've had, let's even say even a week, because it's been like that sometimes where it's hard, hard, hard. I will take a day. where I do absolutely nothing. I will take the hottest shower on planet Earth. I will play, I like to play little games just to like ease my mind. I'm focusing on nothing other than the game. And that's what calms me, what brings me back. Like, okay, that week was hard, but that week's in the past. I can move forward now. I can kind of like take this next week in and I can be fully relaxed. I can be myself again. Or I'll go and I like to call it queening out with my friends, queen out with my girls. I just, take time, chit chat, and just relax. That's what's so important to me is relaxation.
I like that.
Ooh.
That's good. What about you, Jazz?
For me, I will go on a walk. I'll, yeah,
Hmm.
I'll go on a walk. I want to be in nature. I don't care what the temperature is. I think that it has a way of resetting me, because the wis I feel like the trees and the wind will whisper God's wisdom to me. When I'm going on these walks, sometimes I get lost in my thoughts. Other times, especially now that it's fall, I'll walk and I'll be thinking, okay, y'all go. I sound a little crazy, but what I'll do is like sometimes I want to be present. So I'll say something to like the trees or within the wind, and I'll be like, if you hear me, like give me like a little rustle or something of like the trees and the leaves, and then it'll happen, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we're intertwined. You hear me, I hear you, and it's that small thing that forces me to like be present and realize it's not just me. While it may just be me on this walk, I am not alone. I am protected by the wind. I am kissed by the sun. I am loved on by the all the different insects you hear, like whether it's like the little cicadas. Oh, I used to hate those, but now I love them. Whether it be the cicadas or when I hear the birds, that's something, when I was young, I used to look because people would talk about, oh yeah, I went bird watching. I was like, these folks out here being crazy. How bored you gotta be to start listening to birds? Uh, I was young and I didn't know what I was talking about. Because now I would sit there and I would just listen to the birds. Because I feel like if you listen close enough, whatever's going on, whatever is going on within your heart, I feel like sometimes they'll say it back to you. And it's not just the birds, it's nature in general, because I believe that nature is not separate from God. God fuels nature. Uh, nature is God's gift to us. And I think that at least for me, one of the most beautiful things that I can do is to go show up in God's home and just sit with him and allow like the kind of meditative practice to pop up, to really kind of saturate my mind. One of the things that I'm hearing between everyone is like this present state. You're forced to kind of really just lock in with what you're doing. One, I don't know if I really ask questions, but I have some questions. Um, One of my questions in the space would be when you're in that present state, right? Present state. So like for you, Sharon, when you're in the spa and you're here, right? You're locked in. Ryan, for you, when you're like, I ain't doing nothing. What I guess like what insights come to you during that time, or what was the most recent insight that came to you during that space?
Sure. You want to go ahead and take that
So
first?
for me, for
I'm
me,
sorry, y'all.
no,
You're good.
no,
You're
it's fine.
good.
I thought but for me, I think that I try not to really think about anything. I think for me, I'm feeling peace. I'm feeling joy, that inner joy. Like I don't even want to think because I'm a thinker. I'm very analytical and I'm an executive type woman. So I always have something going on, right? And so when I'm in that space, when I go there, like really go there, Jazz, I go there to not think about anything. I just want to hear. Because sometimes it's hard for me to check out. It's easier for me to check back in and get cracking again. but it's hard for me to just check out. And so what I try to do is maybe I'll hear a sound or, maybe and I like to cover my eyes because I'm very nosy. So if my eyes are open, I'm looking around trying to see what's going on. And so for me, I just want to check out and I'm listening and I'm just listening. And sometimes I don't hear anything. And sometimes I'll have a revelation, but I'm not really trying to tap into anything in that moment. I don't want to know. I don't want to think. I want to go blank because that's all I do. That's all I do is think. I'm creative. Well, what about this? What about that? So you don't know a whole lot about me, but I'm a very busybody. And so when I stop and I shut everything off, I don't even want to think. I don't want to feel nothing. I will listen to sounds, but then I'll be like, what's that? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, well, maybe I need to go fix it because I'm a fix it person. So I would say just silence. I just want silence. I don't want to engage in anything in those moments where I'm really taking into myself. Now, if I'm just going for a walk or something like that, it's a little bit different. But when I'm in that moment at that spa, all I'm thinking about is how good you can make me feel and what a blessing it is to be able to afford it and how amazing God is that he infused me with the financial security to be able to do the things that I enjoy. And that's one of them. And it takes me to a whole nother place. And sometimes, y'all, I don't even know what I would do if I couldn't take that. It's once a month. I do it once a month. And I'm going to share this with you. Last month, the spa, I didn't get to go in October. And I'm already on November the 6th. And I'm going, what the heck? And they called me. I had an appointment for the 29th. And they called me and they said, Miss Mackey, we know that you have a membership. And we are so sorry to inform you that the jacuzzi in the steam room is not functioning at this time. What do you think that did to me?
Broke your
I said,
heart.
well, excuse me, into little bitty pieces. And I said, what do you mean? Like that is my haven. That's my heaven away from heaven, right? And so that I told him, I said, well, I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. And because I need this, I use this to like refuel and to reset. And they're like, well, we love you as a customer. You've been with us for a long time, 100 years now, and we just want to make sure you're happy. And then they offered me like all these enhancements. I'm like, but they don't do me any good if I can't come in. So I'm in, I think that's why I'm a little antsy right now, even because I haven't had my monthly fix of just peace and quiet. And so forgive me, but that's where I am. And so I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm going to be going next week and I'll get it in. I'm going to get it all in. But I would say that for me, it's just shutting down. I don't even want to think about nothing because I'm just such a busybody, Jazz. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It
Okay.
does. I hope you get to that spot soon. They need to stop playing in your face, okay?
Stop
Exactly.
playing. Stop
You want
playing.
to write
Exactly.
them a strongly worded letter. Excuse me, so and so spa. What you're doing is a disturbance to the community. How
Completely.
dare you?
I dare you. Completely, because people need me. And sometimes I noticed lately I've had a very short fuse and I always try to think of the other person. But I'm not this is kind of like something too for self-care because people look to me for so many different things, right? But I don't think necessarily people realize that I need the same things that they need. And sometimes you give of yourself so much that people forget that you're not a robot and they expect you to always show up. They expect you to always be at peace and offer them peace, right? And sometimes you just can't do it. You just cannot do it. And it's so unfair. And then I beat myself up because it's like, oh, shoot, I blew it. But how come I'm not allowed to blow it? Every now and then, I'm not going to be 100%. And love
That's
me
right.
in spite of that. Just love me anyway. And I need that. I need people to be more understanding because I try to be very understanding. But the moment I say something, it's like, did you hear what she said? Oh my God. No, no, no. Well, maybe I'm having a bad day. Maybe I can't always pour because I'm a pourer. I like to pour into people. I love doing it. But, in order to pour, you got to have something to pour. And that's what those days are for, to go back and refuel so that when someone needs you, you're available to assist them. And that was a long answer, I guess, but I was feeling that thing, so I had to say it. Ryan.
We on a podcast.
Exactly. That's what this is.
Oh, thank you for being patient.
No, yeah, of course.
I think for me, it's kind of similar. I think a lot, constantly, 25/8 thinking all the time. So it depends on why I'm taking the day. It depends on why I'm doing nothing. If I'm doing nothing because I've had a hard week, I'm not thinking about anything. But if I'm doing nothing simply because I'm feeling a little down, there's a lot of thinking going on, a lot of like, why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening? Why this? Why that? Why? Just so I can get to, sometimes I'll write about it. I'll write down all my thoughts, organize them in a way so I can read them back later. Be like, oh, okay, I was thinking this at this time, but that's not how it was. So it's more of like a interview with myself
Mm,
to really
Mm.
dig down deep, understand why I took the day, understand why I would need to take the day in the future. And it helps me.
I like
I
that.
love that. I love that. There's something I wanted to comment on. I wrote it down and so I could come back to it, but I wanted to be present in what was being said. Um, you know, I noticed that you were Sharon, you were talking about like, hey, like a lot of people need me and I'm on go, 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 go. And it's like there was I can empathize with, the feeling of like, if y'all don't let me get my recharge day, I'm out here over here pouring into y'all, who won't pour back into me? And I wanted to, I'm gonna give y'all this one for free. I heard that recently, and I said, "Oh, I thought that's smooth. I like that." But I look, I've been hearing some things, man, some like little cute little short snippets, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna throw that in my daily rotation." Uh, I want to try it out, see how it works. But what it reminds me of is maybe like a conversation or like a theme of strong, the word strong, and using that as like an adjective, like whether people describe you as strong, you describe yourself as strong. And that was something I used. People used to describe me as strong, and that was also something that I used to describe myself as was strong. And it wasn't until it was back in 2020 when I lived in Jamaica and I almost drowned. Now, I tell y'all, baby, I am a swimmer. I am a swimmer. I'm swimming. I would get up at 6 a.m. and start swimming across the lake and back and swim in the ocean, be swimming all the way to 6 p.m. Just swimming. Grew up in water. And there was a case where one of the things that was going on in my heart at the time was when I tell y'all I was in Jamaica, that part of my time, I was going through it. I'm losing hair. I kept getting hit with so many obstacles to the point that when bad things started happening, I didn't even feel it. I was just rolling with the punches, rolling with the punches. And I found myself one day, he was my friend at the time. Now he's my boyfriend. But he had looked at me, and I was wearing my hair very similar to yours, Ryan. And he looked at me. He said, "Dang, girl," he said, "what happened to your hair? Why you got that big old bald spot in your head?" Oh, Jesus. How you gonna put me out there like that? And I said, I don't even know. I don't know what happened. I didn't pull my hair out. It was just there randomly. It just popped up one day. And after it always be somebody that's gonna tell you about yourself. Uh, but I remember going back and being like, God, what's going on? Why am I losing my hair? I got a head full of hair. Why am I losing my hair? And one of the things that came up in that kind of questing was you're numbing yourself. You will go through so much things in life. You'll put on so many masks that going through things becomes a part of your persona. You put on this mask of strong. When you strong, you don't have to be, you will never be anything other than strong, right? So after I had that kind of conversation with God, right, and that insight came to me, I then almost drowned. And the interesting part about it was three people, it was myself and two more of my friends. I ended up saving one of the girls and was able to pull her out. Right, the other one she was able to get out, so we all made it out safely. And when we called the job we were working with, right, because we were there under a program, we called them and we were like, hey, we all almost drowned. The only thing they heard was that the one girl almost drowned. And they said, Jasmine, go ahead, pack up and go back to site. Not even knowing that I had almost drowned, even though I had told them multiple times. And one of the things that came out in that space over the course of weeks, I said, Jasmine, you can literally be drowning, but because you're so strong, nobody will know. I remember calling my mom and be like, hey, mom, I almost drowned. Like, this is wild. And she said, oh, but you're a strong swimmer. You're fine. How's the other girl? I remember being so hurt because for the first time, it was like, Jasmine, you can literally be drowning and nobody will know. It was after that that I cut it. I said, I no longer will identify as strong and I will no longer allow other people to call me strong. Because when you have the persona of strong, that is all that you ever have permission to be is strong. Those around you will look at you and be like, oh, that's my strong friend. So they may not be as inclined to ask you about how you're doing. They don't have to. One of the things that I use to describe myself is resilient. I'm resilient, but baby, I'm not strong. I have my days where I am weak because, in my weakness, God is made perfect, but there's a theme that I'm seeing is of the way that you identify yourself and how people see you. Because the people in your lives are just there as mirrors. They're meant to reflect you back to you in a language you understand. So when you start looking at or examining, well, what are people saying about me? And then what am I saying about myself? I feel like a lot of the answers will be in there. For me, it showed me was like, Jasmine, you want to stop being that strong person. You want people to stop always you want to stop always pouring and not getting what you need freely. Like it's not being there's not a balance. I'm doing more pouring than what I'm receiving. And when I after that encounter, one of the insights that came was like, Jasmine, you need to take a step back and you need to reframe the way you see yourself. And in the way you see yourself and the way that you go through and describe yourself and the way you live out your purpose, the way you live out your life, people will then they're only going to describe you how you describe you because you're teaching them. And it's like, as I started to change that, now I'm realizing there's not as much of a pouring anymore, like an unequal pouring. Like when I look at the connections in my life, and it has not always been this way, there was it was unequal. Now, when I look around, I'm like, nah, man, my community got me. They know, hey, look, I would love to help you, but I'm not there today. And it's like, it gives them an opportunity. It's in my vulnerability. It gives them an opportunity to show up for me and to show me like, hey, Jasmine, like, I love you and you can be human. You are human. And that's why I love you. So that was something that came up to me. And like, it just it made me think about it when you were saying that, just about the being unequal and yoke.
Yeah, that's really good because I think the last time we got together, we talked about the separation between the wheat and the tare. And I do
Mm-hmm.
definitely in this season of my in this season of my life, I really do feel like I'm losing friendships that people things that I thought were solid friendships. I see shifting taking place. I'm starting a new career. I'm working with the prison population, and I'm just looking at and those people. And sometimes I think God, He makes us in such a way that He puts us in front of people that really need to hear what we have to say. Because if you keep having those same conversations with the same people that you've been having those conversations with for 10 years, 15 years, however long, it's probably time to shift out of that. And if we don't do it on our own, the universe creates this space because it unfolds as it should, that may create this space where, okay, you're not doing it for yourself. So I'm going to just start shifting things around because there's so much in you that I want to come out of you that needs to be birthed before you leave, right? Before we exit this planet, God has certain things that he wants to birth in us. And we keep going around in a circle. And if we keep staying in that circle, we can't realize the dreams that God has for us, those things that he appointed for us before we even knew who we were. And, in order for us to arrive in that place where we can realize these dreams that God has for us, right? We have to we have to show up in that space. We can't just expect it's going to happen. And he's probably like, Sharon, I done told you, I done showed you, so now I'm just going to make it happen. And we talked about pouring new wine in old wineskins, right? It doesn't work. It's going to leak all over. So sometimes it is time to move on. Doesn't mean that you don't love the people that you've associated with and have spent time on this journey with, but sometimes it just means it's time for you to move to the next level. And you can't do that if you keep trying to be strong, that word, right? For those same people that you've been strong for forever and they never got it. They never took you up on your offer. They never said yes. They kept doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And that's our definition of insanity.
Insanity.
Doing the same thing and expecting a new result. It's not going to happen. And so to keep pouring into that, it's a waste of God's time because everybody's not ready. People aren't always
Come
ready.
on now.
You're trying to make this thing change. We're not God. We're not the burden bearer. And so sometimes, we get into these places because we can see so clear, like, I did it this way and it worked for me, but they're not you. And they have to fall and they have to grow just like you did, but in their own space, their own time, in their own way. And so we can't force it. And so part of my self-care with that is knowing now, just pull back. Because you can't be all things to all people. You just can't do it.
Right.
And as long as you stay in that grind mode where you're trying to make something happen, how are you doing self-care for yourself? How does that work? How is that self-love? Because that's not where you're supposed to be. And being able to recognize that is so important. And then pivot. Know how to pivot out of it and don't stay stuck in it.
Look, well, I'm gonna go ahead and preach now. I don't worry, for the whole of us, I'll carry around the little offering basket. Go ahead, the community, the listeners.
No, we don't do
Go
that
ahead and put
anymore,
a little
darling.
some in there.
No, we need a Zelle. Go, just Zelle it.
Look, she said, let's
Givelify.
get our technology. Look, okay, all right. Well, we are here. I feel like we're in it now. Yeah, so go ahead and take us off, right?
I wanted to ask you guys a question first. From hearing what you're speaking about kind of how you portray yourself to other people, and in turn, how that's kind of they only know you for what you show. That I would consider that your self-perception. And I wanna ask, how would you reach a point of not letting like outside factors or people kind of misconstruing your self-perception? How would you not let that affect you? And like how would you be able to keep those same um self kind of those same self descriptors, but how would you not let other people affect that?
Sharon, you want to take this one, or I could take it?
I talk too much.
Don't say that. You talk just enough, just in time. I think two things come to my mind with that. First one is like knowing who you are. What is your identity? Where is your identity founded? And then I think the next thing is, to be honest, I think the people in your lives are mirrors. They're meant to reflect you back to you in a language you understand. So some things that people reflect to me, if from the experience, if I keep having the same experiences over and over and over and over and over again, if everyone keeps telling me, hey Jasmine, maybe you're very harsh. And I hear it from 10, 20 different people, I'm gonna be like, maybe I'm harsh. So I think that I think that there is a way of, like, for me, I embrace what I can carry and I let go of what I can't. So for me, my identity is founded in what God thinks about me. I think that the promises God makes to you is in your name. I think
Hmm.
we've talked about this before. When you say, I am so and so, you are saying, I am is to
Oh yeah.
exist, is to be. It is your essence, it is your soul, it is your vitality, it is spirit, right? And so when I say, like, for me, my name is Jasmine, that translates as I am a gift from God. So if I really want to talk about, my perception, I'm going to view me how God views me. And God says, Jasmine, it is his promise to me. You are a gift from God. You are a gift from me. So when I know that, the way I'm moving through life is different. I'm
Yeah.
not going to allow certain things around. I'm not going to, the one thing about a gift, not everyone has access to a gift. And I think that's where boundaries and things like that come in. Because
Access, that word access. You may have the
look,
gift, but you don't know how to access it. Is that what you're saying?
sometimes you don't know how to access. Sometimes you don't know how to access it. But what I'm saying is, when you are a gift, where there's treasure, where a man's treasure is, right, his heart.
Hmm.
Not everybody got access to that gift. Because one thing I can tell you is,
Oh,
your Amazon package ain't getting dropped up the street with little Sally. And if it do, it's gonna be a problem, because that is your gift. It is your gift, and it's so whoever you choose
okay.
to share it with.
I see you
You
now.
know, you all right now.
I'm
Um,
rocking. I'm
but
rocking
yeah,
with you now.
look, we here. But yeah, that's something that's been showing up a lot for me. Is like, I think maybe in some of the maybe different seasons of my life, my self perception wasn't what it is now. I'm not going to say it was bad. I'm not going to say it was good. It just wasn't what it is today. And I don't think that it was founded in knowing who I was. For me, I have a lot of African and Caribbean friends. And I was learning Yoruba for a little bit. And one thing about some Yoruba names, baby, they gonna have a whole life purpose in them. I like, they would be like, Oluba Wale. Like, what? Right. But like, kind of breaking some of that down, at least from what I remember, like, Oluwa means Lord. Oh, you know what? Actually, I got one for you because I'm writing about it in my story. Olugbon. Olu means Lord, right? And the way that that would translate is the Lord is wise. So imagine you meet someone and their name is the Lord is wise. That person may teach you a few things about wisdom. That's probably why you're encountering them. Now you don't get to pick and choose how they teach you that. It may be because they're very wise and they give you a lot of great things, or because they may lack sense. I tell you this, them and sense don't agree, and that's how you learn about wisdom. You never know, right? But it's in their identity. So the name is very important. So now when I start to understand, Justin, this is your name. This is your I am that I am. The way I move and groove through life is I am a gift. And a gift is something that is given freely. So people don't have to, everything I do for them, they have to do it for me. No, 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 no. It is given freely. And it's important of where the gift is being delivered. Who is the gift being given to? Because a gift put in the right hands, baby, they're gonna take that gift and they are gonna turn it into a garden. But you take that gift and you give it to the wrong hands, baby, they're gonna put it inside the trash. So for me, I've been discerning, who to share these gifts with.
Mm.
And for me, I feel like my one of my gifts is to share, like, I feel like God has given me the gift of, speaking, of having a certain level of understanding, of influence. And before I would just share it freely. And while I may share it freely more so in my business, I restrict access to it as well. I'm not going to spend, kind of like what we were talking about last time, and sharing. I'm not going to spend 3 years at a 3-minute detour. I'm not going to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And
Yeah.
so I think that's kind of like that's where the foundation is. Now, as far as the part about, kind of how I let things impact me, I take a look at some of the same messages that's been coming to me. Um, and I assess it. And if I can't come up with it, I'll then ask God, what does he say about it? If it doesn't come right in my head, well, God, what do you say about it? Lately, um, one of the things that have been coming up is the theme of forgiveness, but forgiveness as it relates to reconciliation. Now, in this, some of the self perceptions I had and that others told me about myself was that I had loose boundaries back in the day.
Loose
Well, over the
boundaries?
course,
Did you say
loose
loose
boundaries.
loose boundaries?
Yeah,
Okay.
loose boundaries. So it doesn't mean they wasn't existent. It just means I would maintain them. I wouldn't start them, I would initiate them, but I wouldn't enforce them. So they were loose.
Hmm.
And over the past year and a half, when I tell you I've learned to tighten ship, I've started to fortify my garden because I want there to be peace, ease, and pleasure here. So now you're not about to just come over here and carry on and paint my walls with poison. Oh no, no. I'm not, I
Hmm.
will not stand for it. Right. I will lovingly tell you to exit left. And so lately what's been coming up for me is, yeah, like I said, forgiveness as it relates to reconciliation. And I was going through this thing in church called Forward. It was a 4-week kind of workshop. And one of the things that came out of it for me was, Jasmine, go through a 7-day forgiveness challenge. One thing about me is, baby, I love a challenge, okay? But for 7 days, I prayed for everyone that hurt me. And I was like, hey, I'm going to say a forgiveness prayer to them. One thing I've learned about forgiveness, when you've forgiven someone, you will pray that God blesses them the same way you pray for God to bless you. That's when
Yes,
you know you're on the right path. It's not just,
that's so good.
oh God, get away from me. It's like I just pray you away from me. No, no, it's the same way you pray. You're like, God, please help me with my finances. God, please bring me closer to my purpose. God, please, I want to experience love in the highest form. That's when you'll pray for those that hurt you. That's a form of forgiveness. Well, I was having a conversation yesterday, and one of the things that came up to woman I was speaking to, she's like, do you think you have forgiven? Or is there anyone in your life you've forgiven? And I was like, yeah, I think there's like one person particularly came to mind. I was like, yeah, I think I have forgiven this person. And I was like, while I've forgiven them, I don't always believe in reconciliation,
Mm.
And she's like, well, then, and she was like, well, I don't really think that you've forgiven them then. And I was like, respectfully, I disagree. Because over the past year and a half, what God has started to teach me is the importance of boundaries, how important it is to guard your heart. It doesn't mean to harden your heart, but it does mean to put up a fence with certain things. One thing I kind of told you guys maybe last time was, there's an African proverb that says, a woman is a flower in the garden. Her husband is the fence around it.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you, yeah, yeah. Wherever there's something cherished, wherever there's a gift or a treasure, there are boundaries around it to protect the integrity of whatever it is. So for me, now I find myself being like, if I take in different concepts, I need to take time with it and analyze, is this something that's really going to be beneficial to me long term? So one thing I came up from that conversation, right? This was someone kind of, maybe some things that came up, the negative part would have been, oh, maybe you don't forgive easily. Or maybe you're not forgiving. I think that would be a better way to say it. Maybe not saying that she said that, but one of the messages that came to me was like, maybe this is a part of your identity. And for that one, I had to control alt delete, because that's that for me. I'm not going to embrace that part because that's not true to me. That's not true for me. I forgive, so I am free. I can, I will wish you the best. I will, if there's anything in my power I can do to help you, I would do that. And I will also, maintain boundaries to protect the integrity of what God's doing in my life. So one of the things that, from maybe something that may have been a little bit more negative in the way that I understood it, what I did was then turn it into something positive, being that I forgive, and I am a person that maintains healthy boundaries. So I think it's important, when you're thinking about identity and self-perception, it's, sometimes there's gonna be mirrors, not sometimes there's gonna be mirrors around you, but you pick and choose what you allow people to paint your walls with. You can choose if it's going to be poison, and you can choose if it's going to be love. But ultimately, you have that responsibility. Don't give your power to nobody else. Your power lies within you.
I like that. One of
Does
the
that
things,
answer? Oh,
yeah, I mean, yeah, that was good. I was thinking when you were talking about setting boundaries, I wrote something down, and feedback can be valuable. Um, Feedback from other people can be valuable, but as valuable it's also valuable to assess whatever is it relevant, what is the relevance of what it is that you're saying to me, and is it valid? And as a person, we have to choose the feedback. Whose feedback are you valuing in your life? Like, does that make sense? And then
mm,
consider that you may need some constructive criticism, but is it a trusted source? Is it somebody that
mm-hmm.
you can really trust? And learn how to filter that out, the unhealthy with the healthy, or the unhelpful with the helpful. Because sometimes people are giving you all their stuff, right? And so setting boundaries is important. And then I think knowing whether it was trusted information or not trusted information, um, learning to work on your inner self. Confidence is the key, right? Because if you listen to what everybody else has to say and value everything that they have to say as they're assessing you, telling you who you are and who you're not, right, it could be very dangerous. So working on building inner confidence and self-acceptance, practicing who you are, mindfulness, positive at like just rehearsing positive things in your heart and in your mind, and making sure that
Affirmation.
whatever it is that someone is saying to you, that it was truly sent by God for you to become better. Because sometimes people come to destroy you. They're jealous, they're envious. I was listening to a pastor the other day, and he was talking about the favor of God on your life. I know I have the favor of God on my life because I should be a statistic, but God said no. And
Amen.
sometimes the favor of God will bring out jealousy that you can never see. You can't see it. And then they start going, well, why is she getting that? Why is her life so good? You know? And so we have to be confident and self aware, aware of who we are, who God made us to be, and not allow other people to come and define who we are. And that's all I got on it. But that was good.
No,
That was really good,
that
Jasmine.
was that, first of all, thanks for coming in, and like I gave y'all a full, long out, drawn out thing. And she said, "Baby, look, I'm gonna be clear, cut, and concise with you, okay?" So thank you for that. Yes, come through with the
Self-awareness, being
clarity.
confident, self-reflection, making sure that whatever is happening in your life, that you're not allowing other people to come and bring their baggage onto your table. You don't have to eat that. We're not eating at that table. And boundaries, you said it best, setting those boundaries. And I think that so many times we just don't have boundaries, or we have loose boundaries. And sometimes we just want people to like us, just like me. Oh, I just want to be loved and liked because, I'm missing something from my childhood. No, look at yourself, go back, set those boundaries, and start all over again. And you know what? It's never too late. It's never too
Mm-mm.
late to set your boundaries. Ryan, I've had a ball today. This has been so fulfilling, very, very meaty, huh?
I know. I've learned so much from you guys. Like, you guys really are teaching me so much, so, so much. Hearing
Good.
about boundaries and like me, I used to have a hard time setting boundaries. Once I started really setting boundaries, my life improved. I'm not gonna lie, my life improved. So I love to hear you guys bring that up and to bring up having self-reflection and just to know that you don't have to take what everyone says about you. You don't have to listen to it. So I just I'm learning so much from you guys. Like this is amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, so good to be here. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad you made this forum possible, Ryan. This has
Look,
been very fulfilling.
yes, thank you for facilitating the space. Oh, come through, Miss Vibe Director. Okay.
Okay.
We appreciate love you.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you
Nice to
guys for
meet you.
coming on, of course. But before we kind of tie this up in a little bow, I want to ask Jasmine. Prior to our episode, I asked you to create a hashtag, something cute, a little word or phrase that you keep in mind when you think of the topic of self care, self love, the self. Would you mind sharing with us your hashtag life lesson?
Mm, it would be hashtag living purpose on purpose. For me, what that means is to be intentional about how you're living your life. You know, ensuring that the actions that you're taking today align with the purpose that God has for your life, and making sure that you're actively walking that out. It's not just enough to know that, hey, you know, you have to live purposely, but you have to actually do it. You know, not wisdom is the application of knowledge. So for me, that's one of the things, that's one of the ways, or one of the governing principles that I use in my life. So hashtag living purpose on purpose.
I got it. I got it. Living life on purpose, living life with purpose on purpose.
Hashtag
Live in
in
purpose
purpose,
on purpose.
on purpose.
Living in
There we
purpose on purpose. Okay.
go.
I have to get it right because I can't go out here quoting something that you didn't say.
Yeah.
Thank you
Hashtag
for that.
live in purpose on purpose. Well, I mean, my ladies, if you don't mind, maybe one time for the audience, we'll just say it together. You know, I think
Mm-hmm.
there's power in three. So 1, 2, 3.
Live
Live
in
live in
In
purpose,
purpose
purpose,
on
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 purpose.
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 Let's try that again. Let's go and run it back. Hashtag live
Live
in
Live
in
in
purpose
purpose,
purpose,
on
on
and
purpose.
purpose on
purpose.
purpose. So yeah, thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank you
been a
guys.
pleasure to have you today. I would love to see more of you. More of you, Ryan. Let's do some more of this. I know that people out there would really love to hear what you have to say, Jasmine. You're young, you're vibrant, you're beautiful. And I believe that there's an audience waiting, hanging in the balance, waiting for you to step into your call completely.
Your podcast. Tell us where we can find it, where people can listen to you more.
Yes, yes. So go ahead and follow me on it is the Selfful SESFELF hyphen FULL podcast. You can find me on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Tap in episode 1, The Desert is out now, and it's truly transforming. So tap in, y'all.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jasmine.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you,
time.
ladies. It's been a pleasure. Chat
Bye
later.
bye. Love you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Love y'all.